So first, thank you to let me participate to your podcast. So my name is Cyril Carvasio, and I work at Mercenaries Engineering. So it's a software company. We are publisher of the first software we made is Guerilla Render, which is a kind of tool to do the lighting, set up the shaders, and do the rendering with a renderer. And it's done for production, like TV shows and movies, animation feature movies have been done with this software. And we do that for 15 years now. And before that, I used to work in video games on 3D rendering technology, like game engines for MMORPG, but it was a long time ago. And for a few years now, we are working on Rumba, so it's an animation software, as you know. And we are very excited because today we are releasing the public link on the website, so you will finally be able to download something.
Great. Well, it's gonna be today at the day of recording. I'm gonna publish probably in
1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's at 4 p.m.
Oh, really? Wow. So exactly, we can almost do the countdown on the.
Yeah, it's probably during the interview.
Wow.
And I don't do that. It's Regine is taking care of
it. Oh, okay.
And so yes, we are very excited. So it's the first version. Of course, everything is not there, but it's an important step for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know, maybe I can show you a little bit about to finish with my introduction.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a rigger, okay? Of course I understand the rigging concept. I analyzed a lot of rigs, of course, to make this project, and so I know a lot about rigging, but I'm not a rigger myself, so I won't tell anybody how to rig stuff, of course. But I'm more technical. I have a more technical profile, so it's different, but yeah, maybe it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you like, I can make a quick introduction of what is Rumba. There is a lot of material online about that, but I can make a new one.
Yeah, I was about to ask that if for people that doesn't know Rumba yet, that if you can introduce to this new software and explain what it does and how amazing.
So if you successfully download the version, you install it. So it's a Linux or Windows, and you should get that when you start. So with this version of Rumba, you have four rigs provided with the software, so you can play right away with it. So I like this guy. This guy is from Creative Seeds. It's a school in France. They did this rig in Maya, and they converted it.
And it's an alien seed, no? It's
exactly, yeah. So because Creative Seeds, so it's a seed. So yeah, the first thing you will notice in Rumba is you can manipulate the rig using grips on the surface. So it's the first thing. So you can, of course, for the facial, it's very effective. You have, you just click and drag like that. It's very natural. In fact, you don't. So you, So it's very simple. You do that. So all that is done starting from a Maya rig. Okay, everything is set up from a rigging point of view in Maya.
Mm-hmm. So this is very good, especially if you work with Wacom or with Synquit. I guess the productivity it's gonna be speed up a lot.
It's very cool on the Wacom. On the Cintiq, you simply press on the surface and you have a very natural feeling. It's very cool. So if you like, I will go into detail how we do that. So you have that, and the other thing is, as you can see, we try to move with no selection. So for the moment, I have selected nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The usual workflow is in Maya, you select something and then you move it like that. Okay. Here I will simply, most of the time, I will press and move. Okay. So, for example, I will rotate. With Shift, I will isolate local rotation axis. So I don't need my gimbal axis.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
if I'm lost, if I want to be precise, I still can select the old way. Okay.
It looks very intuitive, the way that you manipulate the character, like the puppet. Very just moving and feeling like you're grabbing some parts and place it in the place that you want.
Yeah, that was the goal, to make. So basically, what we want to do with Rumba is to provide a professional animation software for animators who have to animate a lot of seconds of animation,
mm-hmm.
And we don't want them to reduce the technicality of the rig. Or we want them to do everything they were able to do before, but in a more easy and natural way with less technical complexity, but to achieve the same kind of visual complexity. Okay? That's really what we try to do in mercenaries engineering in general. It's to simplify the concept, but to make more with simpler concepts. That I think that's what we get here in this first version. So yeah, the first thing you see when you start to play is those grip stuff. So of course you can keep some controllers, classical controllers if you need. Okay, so here we kept the global move. Okay, but they still work directly with no selection, and they have like a preferred setup. So here the preferred setup is to slide on the ground. Okay? But if you select it, it's a classical controller. There is no.
And if I recall correctly, you can also have like the classic like curve controls on top. I mean, it's hidden right now, or depends how it's the setup design. No, so
exactly, it's just hidden. In fact, they are here. This is the classic, the underlying Maya rig, which is there, in fact, okay? But we just hide it and replace it with grips for most of them, and we keep some of them in classical controls. So it's up to the rigger, you can decide which one. So the first, maybe I can show you that. The first thing you do, you put a rig in Maya, you export your rig. It should appear exactly the same in Rumba with the same controller. So you can manipulate it the Maya way with controllers, and then you can extend it with this grip system if you like. You don't have to do it, but if you like to do it, you can. You have to add it on the top of your rig in Maya. So you stay in Maya in your rigging Maya project.
So basically, you can take your Maya rig and just export it just straight. So it's gonna be one-to-one. But if you want to make this extra step to add these elements, or to add this how you will say, like this configuration that add this extra sugar to the to the recipe, no? So you get this extra handlers thing, and just for the people who's listening or meeting Rumba first time, Rumba right now it's the software specialized in animation at this point, and you do the rigging part on Maya. So basically you can continue rigging the way that you do the rigging and everything, and you bring this rig to Rumba, where you can animate and take advantage of all the new stuff that it's in this software.
Yeah, exactly. So at the beginning we had two options. It was to start right away with the rigging, a new rigging system and a new animation system, or we had this option to continue to rig in Maya and change only the animation for in the first step. So we choose to do that because it's faster, we get a faster result. And the first goal of this project is to have a new animation project. That's the first thing we like to propose to our customers, to have a new more productive animation software. That's what the first goal. But of course, we like to also to provide a rigging system. If you like, we can discuss about that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to talk about this, I will be very happy to listen.
Yeah, maybe
because
we can.
Yeah, I'm very curious about everything. Of course, all the areas, all the future, everything.
Maybe I start with what we have today, if you like, and then we can discuss the future.
Yeah.
So we have that. First, we try to improve the manipulation of the puppet, and we introduce a new concept in Rumba. We call it the Manipulator. So I know it's a concept that may exist in Maya, but it's not. I think it's difficult. Some riggers told me it was difficult to use, or it's not working very well. But here we have this concept very clear in Maya. In Rumba, it's we have an object in between your mouse and the controllers. Between your mouse and the controller, we add an object we call the manipulator. And the manipulator, so it's basically, I think I have a slide for that. So, can you see my slide?
Yes.
So for the moment in Maya, we have something like that. We have manipulators, which are translate or rotate most of the time, and they manipulate a controller curve in general, which will have some action on the rig. Okay, and what we propose in Rumba is so the rig is here. Okay, we have manipulators which are kind of outside of the rig. There are tools like an arm or a spine, manipulation of the spine, manipulation of the arm, of the hand. So in Rumba today, I will show you a hand and an arm. And this manipulator has a knowledge of the rig. It knows how the rig behaves. It knows its controllers, and it can manipulate multiple controllers of the rig at the same time to achieve a specific manipulation. Like, for example, moving an FK arm in Nike. So that's the simplest example we can do.
I see.
Okay?
I see.
So if you imagine you create an arm object here, and your arm object is configured, it knows everything about your rig in F key, A key. It knows how to check if it's I key or F key. It knows everything about your rig. It can control your rig the same way. The arm can be controlled the same way in F key or I key. I show you on this example. So this guy is a classic Maya rig with an FK IK arm. Okay, so here when I put my mouse here, you can see in the bottom of the viewport that the arm is in the F key. That's a message printed by the manipulator actually. And if I take this one, I can say this one is in I key. So this one is in I key now, and this one is in F key. Okay. So they behave the same. Both behave the same. Sorry. Okay. Both behave the same. Whatever you do. Translate. So this is classic. Okay, and this one is F key. It's the same. Okay, both behave the same in F key, A key.
Okay, so basically you can the manipulation part of the rig, where how you handle or move the rig and create the pose, it can be either done with one, or I mean it's gonna work the same. So the configuration that you do, if it's IK or FK, it goes, I guess, down to the curve, to the animation curve, how it's gonna be stored, this animation curve. So even you have, probably you want to have, if you want the nice arcs and everything, maybe everything in FK, but for manipulation, to go to the pose, maybe you prefer IK because it's faster. You don't need to move 3 objects, you need to move one, and it goes to the place. Yeah,
So
that's very
it's
interesting.
very simple. What is happening here is so this one is in F key. Okay, so I select my shoulder controller. Okay, I have a rotation here. So when I move my hand, I can see the rotation is I'm actually computing the F key rotation. That's all. I'm just putting a rotation in my Maya FK rotation controllers. There is nothing fancy. It's just that the manipulator is between controllers and the mouse, and so I can specify its behavior.
I see. So if I understand correctly the concept, so you have this manipulator. So manipulation means when you actively click and move your character, you manipulating the character. It's defining how it's gonna behave this movement. But once you release and play, that will be the configuration that you have on the rig that will take care of this playback. No, so it's and you can have
you just
differentiated. Sorry, yeah.
No, so finish.
No, just that you have split the manipulation and the behavioral part into different concepts.
Yeah, and so basically, when you move here, you will simply create keys on the curves of the FK controllers, the really same FK controllers you have in your Maya rig. There is nothing new about the rig. It's just on the top of the rig we had manipulation behaviors. So it works only for manipulation, right? Not for interpolation. So it won't. Your FK arm will still move. The end won't be constrained in space. Okay.
Yeah, that's really, and that's really cool, because one of the problems, and I think I was talking with Rafan Zobin in one of the episodes, and I don't know if you know his rigging system, ephemeral rig, and that's one of the complaints that he had on the classical rigging systems like MBR or other rigging systems is that you have the animation. The data that drive the movement is based in a specific configuration of your rig, and the manipulation it's based on this configuration. So if you have to change this, you need to always not only to track the animation but track which configuration you have. So the typical example is that you change a space in one arm, so you move with the torso, and then you change the space to go with the global control, and if it's in IK, maybe it goes and it stays in one position, and but your animation didn't track that. It was your reconfiguration. If you lost the reconfiguration, your animation is not going to be valid anymore. Here, because you have this separation, it's easier because you can have for each production and standard configuration for the rig, but everybody can manipulate it the way that he wants, no?
Yeah, so it solves half of the problem. Here, what you see here is solving half of the problem. For the manipulation part, it's solved. So now you have a framework to create manipulators in Python. It's a simple script to create. You have a framework to create manipulators, and so you have different manipulators, as many as you want, controlling the same controllers. So you can have different way to control the fingers. You can have different way to control the arm. Like here, I can control my arm in I key or F key. So this part of the problem is solved with this concept, the half of the problem. The other half is interpolation. It's how can you constrain your hand in space, constraint your hand in I key, or you want to play guitar, you want to constrain the tip of the finger in I key, but you want also to have F key, so you need switch and blah blah blah. So we think about that. So we don't solve this part of the problem with Rumba, but in the future we'll come with proposition to solve that. And for my own point of that is so it's a bit radical because it changed a lot of the habits of the riggers. But in my opinion, for example, if we take the example of the arm, the I key should not be in the rig. The rig should only be FK rig, and the arm, the I key constraint should be outside of the rig, controlled by the software, and so the switch will be controlled by the software and not by the rig anymore. And it will be it will be created on demand. So you will be able to create IK on demand on the part you need. So obviously you always need the foot and the arm, but for the tips of the finger, it's really you don't need IK on the finger many times. But you like to have it.
Yeah, this is the concept that like a tooled rig or like something that you mount on the fly certain behaviors. And in the classic example that we use on production on Maya, it's for dynamics. It's very costly to have dynamics, like if you use hair things like that on the rig. So we have some tools that we can store the configuration, and when we need dynamics loaded like on the rig, bake it and remove it. Of course, it's not like live on the fly. You need to run a script, wait a second. I mean, it's far from like smooth I would say workflow. You know, like you need to step, wait, and do stuff. But it's conceptually it's the same. And yeah, and I didn't make it, but I was like toying with the idea. You know, in also in Maya, you don't have this concept, but you have the context manipulators in Maya. Probably you know that to do some of MKR components with some special context manipulator that can specifically move the arm or something. I never did it. I mean, it's not the same, but it's a lot of work to do. I mean, honestly, if you have it out of the box like this, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's probably what the rigger I was mentioning he pointed me this concept, but he told me it was a bit difficult to.
It's a very real. I mean, it's really involved to do one, and I guess.
He was not sure it was really working. In fact, but I don't know.
I never tried. I was like imagine like maybe, but it's a long path, and you have it here, and it's. I mean, if it's working on Python, like simple, easy, and it's
quite simple. So the second example is the finger. So on this guy, the finger is it's a full HK finger. It's not a concept. It's not sliders, or it's just rotations. Of course, so we put on the hand a dedicated manipulator for hand, and you just set up the naming convention of your fingers, and then with control and shift, it will simply control multiple controllers. It's very straightforward to write the manipulator. It's very easy to do. It's just a simple example of what you can do.
Yeah.
So in this version 1, we provide the hand and the arm. And all the setups, all the rig we give are set up with this manipulator. And the other good thing is, once you have arm manipulator correctly set up, the switch is obvious. It's not obvious, but it's always the same. So I know it's a shame right now there is no switch with Rumba, but it's coming very fast. The switch will be the same as long as you use the arm manipulator we provide. You get the switch for free because it's always the same algorithm to switch. Once amazing. You know, because you have to do this glue. Okay, you have to do a glue between the arm manipulator and your rig. So you have to specify few parameters. It's everything is explained in the documentation. If you go.
I will add later all the links to the documentation website and everything on the description of the video. So if you're watching this video, probably it's already there, so you can check directly.
So the arm setup is definitely the hardest part of getting this result. So it's just in order for the manipulator to understand your rig. But once you did it once, it will be the same for all your characters. Then you just have to copy paste the Maya object. It's the same. Maybe I can show you that in detail in Maya after.
Yeah, definitely. We can can we continue like going for the nice animation tools, because before recording this I was telling you that there's a few tools that I'm just like when I see it on the demo first time, I was like, oh, this is like amazing. I mean, it was amazing. Sorry.
No. Yeah. So yeah, first we worked a lot on the manipulation, and the second part we worked is we wanted to have something in order for the animator to organize their animation workflow like the way they like. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And from the start we thought we had like as a good reference Photoshop or After Effects because the layers are great paradigm, because you see your timing, you see your animation, you have a stack. So I know the nodal is better than the stack, but when you are working on your animation, it's probably from the start we thought layers. The layer is a good concept. We should put more stuff in layers. So we start with this layer system.
I agree. I think layers, it's great to visualize time or change on time. I mean, if it's a nodal thing, you don't have like a timeline or something where you can see on a layer. It's more difficult to see this.
Yeah, in the next versions, we'll start to introduce the nodal, because we have the nodal, of course, behind all of that. Mm-hmm. But right now it's not displayed to the user because we don't have to, we don't need to. But for some stuff which are coming up next, we'll start to use the nodal, especially for deformation on the animation shots, stuff like that. But it's but right now it's all layers. So Rumba comes with a library tool, of course. It's a Python plugin which is provided with the software. So it's an example of what you can do yourself in Rumba. And you have all those samples with the software. So for example, you can just take this work cycle. So when you press on an animation clip, it will create a layer for you with the clip on the layer. So in Rumba, the layer they stack the animation. It's a bit like Maya layers, but they work in a different way. It's almost the same, but it's very natural and easy with this one. So here, the layer stacks the animation of the controller, the one on each other. It can be animation, and it can be constraints. So that's the two layers you have in this version. So you can have animation layers, which can be additive or overriding the result with new results. And you can have constraint layers. So the layers can also be the result of constraints. So it means they will override the controller with the constraint result and not the animation. But it's the same, in fact. Okay. So that's how we do constraint. We do constraint with layers too. So it's very natural, and you get the timing of your constraints, the key of your constraint stay on your constraint layer. So first, the standard layer. So you have with a layer you can have a layer like that, and you always need a layer to work. So you have this color around the viewport, which is the color of your layer.
Oh, so, interesting.
So it says if I've changed something here, I will change I will set those keys here in this layer, because that's the active layer. Okay. So here, of course, it's just an override done on this layer, and you get something like that. So you can override the pose with a layer. Every layer have a weight, so you can disable and enable the layer like that. And of course, you can animate the weight if you need. So you can make a keyframe like that, disable the layer and enable the layer.
You see clearly here now with how the gradient goes from one to another.
And the layer have a mode, so they can be additive, or already they say that, but they can be additive or they can replace. So for example, if I want to add a secondary animation like this one, I will just import it like that. And this one must be additive because I want both controllers animation.
So it's great because I mean it's a very intuitive way to remix animation. So I guess especially if it's a project where it's like a long running like TV show or something like that, you end up with a huge library, and the way that you can mix and match parts, probably it's gonna speed up quite a lot the production after you have the base library in place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. If you have a lot of clips, and you can start working very fast with. You can merge stuff very quickly. Like, for example, you can. I can take this kick animation, and I will just put it at the end like that. And so this one, I want to blend to this animation. Okay, so I stay in blend mode, but I will on this one I will. Activate the weight like that, for example. And so I get my first layers first, and this one will be overridden like that. Your first transition, and you can merge your key or merge everything. We have different merge, but we preserve we try to preserve the timing of the layers when we merge. There is different merging option for that, and then you can clean the transition, or you can keep it that way and keep it non-destructive, if you like. So that's I think the two main, maybe the two first improvements we did. Layer tool to organize the animation workflows, the manipulation, and the third thing is performances. So if you see the video and there is no trick, we really load thousands of big Maya rigs, and we play them in real time. So of course it's always cached. The cache system is so you see the blue line here. Everything is cached. We never evaluate the rig during the playback. Yeah, it's all cache.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, so we don't really care. The rig is super fast. The rig just has to be fast enough to be manipulated. Okay, but that's all. And of course, it has to be fast to fill the cache quickly. But
I imagine. I guess. For example, it's gonna be like multi-threaded the cache, and wow.
Yeah. You see that?
Yeah, I didn't know that it was flashing, and now that you pointed, it's.
It's super fast. So if for example, I go on the head animation here. So if you move something here, you can see there is only a part of the cache is updating, only on this character, because in fact I'm modifying this keyframe, so it has to compute the cache from here to here because of the tangents, you know.
Yeah.
But even if I modify everything, it's super fast.
It's really fast. I mean, Maya that has also cache and similar stuff, but I don't know which machine you have, but I have the feeling that it's
you can say you do the same. You have everything with the demo. You do the same on the laptop. It's the same.
Wow. I do have it. Yeah,
because here actually on the laptop it will be it will be faster, because here I only have one rig. So when you have a single rig, obviously make the test yourself.
Yeah, but it's because it's just pop. It's you move stuff and it pop. It's like
but it's just one rig. It's not so. This rig is quite heavy in Maya, but it's you probably don't see the frame rate, but it's super fast. So the feeling we have, I don't have figures about that, but when we convert rigs exactly the same in Maya and Rumba. So we can compare exactly the same thing. The feeling we have is on the production rig we have, which are very heavy in Maya, especially when they have a lot of facial, when they have nerve surface to drive the bones, stuff like that. And sometimes they are at less than 5 FPS in Maya. On those kind of rig, we get a factor of 4 or 5 in Rumba. You just make the test, and it's factor 4 or 5 in in manipulation on the same rig. I don't know why, but the fact is that. To be honest, on the MBR rig, I don't have this factor.
No?
It's because the MBR rig, I don't know, all the samples I tried, the Rhino and the Spider, they are very fast in my head, in fact. And so there is not a lot of, they are super fast, no, honestly. So,
sorry.
I don't have this, we don't have this, this benefit. But I can show you examples if you like of very maybe it's because they have a lot of stuff on the top, like a fascio, complex fascio.
If I can talk well about M-Gear, it's we have probably it's the only rigging system in Maya that has this amount of custom nodes. You know, the custom nodes because you port it to Rumba, and that. Because the way that when we use the custom nodes, we save a lot of processing, and it's really well parallelized out of like the rigs. They're parallelized really well. The other day, I was talking with a friend that he was testing one of our production rigs with a Threadripper, one of the new, and it was very like it told me that the one single rig it takes 80% of the Threadripper, so it parallelized to get from I think it's 64 threads that had that one 80% on consistently.
Which is, on one single rig, it's challenging to achieve this kind of parallelization.
And he was telling me like he's also a developer. And he was telling me like, wow, I didn't expect this. It gets all the advantage, but yeah, I'm just a little metal here. But you know, it was Jeremy who did mainly all the design, so I'm just taking like advantage of his great work. But yeah, it's thank you.
No, but so I have to be honest. On the M-Gear rig, we don't get a lot of this kind of difference. But on most on the other rig I try in general, most of them, it's when it gets difficult in Maya, we always get something very. I can show you some example. I don't know which kind of FPS you get. On your screen when I do that, you see something, or it's very laggy?
No, it's quite fluent. I don't have any like feedback or FPS. Like how like normally in like the FPS that you can show in. You know, I don't know if you have it, but
we have one in the bottom, but it's just when you play. In fact,
see.
I should so. When cap at 60. But just make the test yourself. And, if you have an heavy rig and like the kind you have in in movies, and it's like less than 10 FPS, give it a try in Rumba. In general, you get a huge benefit in manipulation, and so in caching in the background, it's also a big benefit. So just to finish on performances. So of course we have an evaluation engine to evaluate the graph of the project, and so there is two modes in this evaluation engine. There is the background mode, which computes the background caching. So this one is basically compute every frames and in parallel. So there is a lot of parallelism in this case because we have many frames to compute. So there is no so much parallelism problem. And we have a second mode is we use in manipulation. So when we manipulate stuff, we do things differently. We first evaluate all the node of the nodal we have to evaluate, of course, and then after the first evaluation, we realize that some of them don't have to be evaluated because we don't invalidate them during the manipulation. And so we have a subgraph which is smaller to evaluate, which is a huge benefit in this case. And then every AV deformers is parallelized in source code. in case we don't have enough tasks, we can also parallelize the deformers themselves.
But one of the things that it's for me that it's more amazing, it's this like I was telling you before recording, this onion skinning time edit spread thing. And maybe the people doesn't, I mean, when they the videos on the YouTube channel, but for me that is amazing. First, the concept itself, it's like it's the best thing I saw for years in animation, I think, unless in like keyframe animation, like the way that you can manipulate the time. But the other thing, it's in performance. I mean, when you do that, you really have to manipulate, like, let's say you have 5-10 copies of the character that represents these different poses.
Yeah.
And you manipulate all at the same time. Means it's like if you multiply your rig in different times. So you have, I mean, technically it should be 10 times slower to manipulate, because you have 10 rigs basically available to manipulate.
Yeah. So in fact, if you see clearly what we are doing, we don't do that. We cheat a little bit. So let's say, for example, I take this guy and activate the onion skin. So this is the traditional onion skin, okay? So here you see you can configure it like you want. You can see frames, you can see keyframes. And if you turn this button on the temporal editing, now you are only seeing keyframes, right? Because you probably want to edit your keyframes and not your frames. So you want you will see only keyframes. And right, so it's super fast right now, but I just we just render multiple shapes for the same character, and
But it's not the shape. I mean, you can manipulate the time in each, so you need to have a rig there. But I mean,
if I manipulate this one, I manipulate only at this time. Okay, I manipulate in fact only one rig. So sometimes if you don't have, let's say on this, so this is my main keyframe, okay, my current frame, and this one is the keyframe before. You can see it on the timeline. It's here. You can see the keyframe is highlighted in the timeline the same way you highlight the controller.
Oh yeah, sorry, I have covering this with the image of the camera. I'm just gonna lower it. Yeah, I see the green one.
Yeah, and so you see when you are on an object, you know which keyframe will be modified by your manipulation, because it's highlighted with.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Like.
Yeah, because we are in temporal edition, right? So we have to.
I have to say I'm a big fan of this kind of manipulation, like dropship timing manipulation. And this is I'm come from Softimage. Like my probably for like 10 years of my career was only Softimage, and they had a really nice dropship. And with Maya, every time I try to animate something, I'm a horrible animator. That doesn't help at all. But also I really like to animate on like very steppy on. I don't like to use curves or anything. And probably it's me unique, or I mean not too many people like, but this dropship, it looks dope for real. It's not pun intended.
We try to make it very simple, like all today's video editing tools. Or I think now there is a simple way to do that, and it should be.
You can drag and drop, select
you
drag, copy.
You can
all the way.
You can retime here directly. You can move. Nice. You can copy paste. The copy paste is very smart in Rumba. It understands what you copy and what you want to paste. You can paste the left arm and copy the left arm and paste on the right arm. You can paste you can copy the X channel and paste on the Y channel. You understand all that. It's the same with the library. It understands what you try to do, which part you try to import on which part, regarding the selection you have when you paste. Which in fact is just try to make it the simplest possible.
And how do you handle the interpolations here? I'm just curious. It's a graph editor, or you have a
of course.
or there is sorry, I'm just asking like silly things.
No, but it's a question a lot of people is asking. Some people think there is no curve editor in Rumba. But yes, we have a curve editor, and you simply select stuff, and here it is. And let's say I want to see that. Yeah, you have everything. You can select.
So it's like a classic splines edition. You can do it also there.
Yeah, of course. You can modify everything here. And, the same.
Yeah, for my personal preference, I don't want to open that. I just prefer to put one keyframe or.
So you have all kind of different animators.
Yeah.
The ones who animate everything in curve editors.
Oh yeah, and
the ones who they don't want the other ones, they don't want curve editors. They want to pose two pose in the viewport. And so of course we have to do both.
I understand. Yeah, there's some. I mean, I know some animators that if they with the curves they have like really small amount of keyframes, but the way that they handle the curves and how they treat all the interpolations, it's kind of a magic voodoo. But I never managed to.
Know all the numbers by they know everything. It's kind of magic. And if you get in this situation, you have this magic button here where you can spread in screen space. So here it's the screen space. I'm sorry, screen space stuff. Okay, it's spread on the x-axis of the screen in order for you to.
Yeah, but this is stuff. It's still like, I mean, it's magic. Because so when you change from manipulation to manipulation, when you have this time editor, I see that it's flashing the cache. So it's like saying, oh, okay, you want to manipulate this, so pew, I cache it for you. You want to change to that one, so pew,
so the cache is flashing because we are validating some stuff in the graph, but actually we are not invalidating the rig right now. It's just because everything is done with the graph, including highlighting and selection, and so maybe it's flashing too much. It can be maybe it can be a problem. The flash can be a problem. But here, nothing is changing on the geometry cache. It's just some other part of the graph which are invalidated because I'm moving the mouse over the character. You see, for example, I don't know if you see, but the timeline is highlighting in live, in real time, all the keyframe at all times. So when you are on a controller like that, you can see here the keyframe you have, which are highlighted, and the keyframe which are on this layer but not on this controller, they are gray. Okay. And to get this information, it's a big reduction of information you have to do. We do that with the graph itself. And so we use the graph a lot. With no cheat, it's always the same evaluation engine. So that's why when the highlighting is changing, the background cache is running. Maybe we can change that, but
But it's really nice. I mean, because you see clearly. I like, again, I barely animate nowadays, and I'm terrible animator by any means, but and probably that's the reason. But for me, I tend to scroll, mistake the frame, then keep changing stuff, and when I realized I was changing another key that I didn't want to change.
The same for me.
And I guess this because you highlight everything and it's very clear visual indicator. Where are you and what are you touching? So
for example, this guy, I just go over it. I can see clearly it's the second layer, and the head is animated on those keyframes, and the body on those keyframes, the head on those ones, and I can see directly what's going on. And of course, if you select the layer, you get in orange all the controllers which are affected by this layer, which is very handy to understand what's happening. So for example, here I can see there is a mistake on my seed layer. I have this controller which is animated, which should not be here. Because,
so the organization, basically you can do whatever you want, like per character or each character substructures, or even combine characters if you want to put all the heads on one layer. So you have this control.
As I said before, it's for the moment it's a tool. Not for the moment, it's a tool to let the animator organize their workflow, because there is many workflows and animation workflows, and we don't want to interfere in this kind of philosophy, you know. So we just try to make a good tool for them, and in order for them to organize the workflow.
That's really nice.
So this is the first proposal. In the next version will come, of course, with layer groups, and probably a beginning of high key constraints outside of the rig. So it will be always possible to let the high key in the rig, like we do usually in Maya, but we'll come with a first proposal of rigging high key constraint outside of the rig, and it will be displayed as a layer.
Interesting. That I never heard like that. Oh yeah, I think it sounds like it's very a new concept for me, I think.
Yeah, maybe I can show you something I did yesterday. Yeah, maybe I can make it from scratch. So with this version of Rumba you can download, you have a constraint layer, as I said before. So you know the constraints are a very big deal for the animators. They use them a lot, and it's sometimes it gets difficult to organize a shot with many constraints, especially if you do jungling shots or stuff like that. It's a nightmare, and it's very technical, and mostly because the constraint system is a bit odd in Maya, for historical reason, and so many studios that build tools to organize that and to help the animator, which is great, because out of the box it's difficult to deal with constraints. So so we don't pretend to solve all problems, but we try to find a new solution of that problem, and so we came with this So let's say I take this guy and this guy. So yeah, yesterday somebody was asking on the Discord forum if we can interact, if characters can interact with each other using constraints. So I did that. It takes few seconds to do. So let's say I want to put this guy on this, like that. So I will do something terribly ugly. You do that.
Don't worry. I think everybody understands what the explanation is about the constraining.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say, sorry, yeah, like that. Okay, so let's say we want to do that shot. So you simply press the source of the constraint, the target of the constraint. So I have two objects selected, and you go here and you say. So you have different type of constraints. It's pretty the same as Maya. Scale, rotation, translate, parents. So I take the parent constraint. Okay. So right now the constraint appears on the layer. It's a layer. There is two buttons: catch and release. Catch and release will compute the offsets and enable and disable the constraint. Okay. The constraint is enabled itself with the weight attribute, the very same attributes we used before to disable the layers. Okay, and so right now the weight is 0, so there is no constraints.
It's because it's black. The background is black, so it means it's not active.
So I can just press catch, and it put a key. Now the layer is weighted at 1. And of course, now the constraint is good. And now I can simply import something like that. Let's say a 60 frame. And that's it.
There you have it. Oh.
So what's different here is all the constraint complexity is displayed in one single layer. If I disable my layer, I don't have constraint anymore. And of course, I can release the constraint at any moment, and I can take back the constraint at another moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just with like, let's say I want to release here. So I release the constraint. Starting from here, I can start to, I don't know, to fly away in that direction. And it's very simple to understand. If you retime your animation, you don't forget to retime your constraint keys because they just are here on the line. And you can create another constraint on another object and start enable the other one after that. So I think it's it's first proposal, but
no, it's very intuitive. It's all the information is there for you, and it's clear. It's clear. It's I think it's sometimes when you because I mean animation it's something really complex, and it involves many like poses, values, and also the time itself. So if you have this clarity what is happening in each moment, it's much better. I think that, for instance, in Maya, if you have the dot shape, I think it's not very useful, to be honest. Or you have the curves, or you have the timeline with the ticks. But the ticks, I find myself very sometimes difficult to handle. Also, I guess maybe because I didn't animate that much in Maya. But many people can use it, but I like here that it's very clear and very. Also, the keyframe, it's one big thick box, not the tick at the beginning of the keyframe. That is something that I found
so actually
a little difficult to.
Yeah. So actually, it's a floating number for the time. So you can do interframes, and so it will move. It will if you move in a.
Oh yeah, you mean in
there is no restriction if you like.
Oh here.
You know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean?
here.
If you take I don't know, let's say take this frame, and if I move it with no snapping, it will move, across.
Oh my.
So it's just a display of things. Yeah, and actually it's a problem if you want to work in a subframe.
Yeah.
We'll probably propose a display with tick because sometimes you need thin key.
Yeah.
But most of the time you just put keys on frames. So
and so
but it's just a regular key, but it's not another representation.
Yeah. You got me there. Yeah, and probably that's the reason, because they do it like that in Maya, because they also have subframes. So
yeah,
probably it was a clear way to indicate that. Well, so I guess I learned something every. Do you want to jump on the rigging part? Do you, or it's something else that maybe an animation?
No, I think it's a good overview. Long overview of the software. Maybe I can show you very briefly how we support Maya rigs.
Yes, please. I'm very interested in that part, and and maybe, well, there is this note I have here about talking about riggers and attachment to software that maybe we can talk at the end. It's,
definitely. So very briefly, what we did. The state right now is you can't only make rigs in Maya and convert them in Rumba using our export tool, and that's the state for the moment for the version 1.
Yeah.
And
so that makes all the Maya riggers like me. Now we are also Rumba riggers. It's,
which is the good news, right?
Yeah. It's like now I can do it in 2 softwares.
Exactly.
Boom.
And you can make your animator more happier.
Yeah. Yes.
maybe if they like Rumba. So of course there is restriction. Of course we can't do everything you do in Maya. So what are the restrictions? So if you go on the website on the documentation about Maya to Rumba, you just Google Rumba animation in Maya. You will find this mTorbay. mTorbay is the name of the project for Maya to Rumba. The project is installed with so it's a Python script for Maya. It's installed with Rumba. If you like, in the installer, you can install mTorbay in all your Maya installations. So you get the list of everything which is supported. So we try to make this list as precise as possible. So this is the list of the nodes supported right now in mTorbay, which is not so bad. So you can get gear. So we provide some third-party plugins right in the installation, like the mgear plugins, of course. The main mgear plugins, the one you said, that's the one you should have, guys. And the weight driver, and even BCS for people who are using BCS.
Awesome. Yeah. And shout out to Ingo for the weight driver on the Shapes plugin. It's amazing.
So you get all that. So now the state of this project is most of the time the rigs is exporting fine. The only problem we have time to time is we have a missing node. So for example, yesterday I had a missing node called inverse matrix. So I had a rig. It was the first one who was using this node. So it took me 5 minutes. I created the inverse matrix node. It's very simple to do, but it was not in the documentation. I didn't need it before. So we try to increase this list, and of course, all the customers, in general, with the studio, we discuss first of the rigging. They try the platform with the export plugin with their rigs, and we make sure everything is supported, and then it's okay.
Yeah, and they can. I mean, the Rumba has a very extensive API in C++ and Python. So the people that if there is by any chance a node that you don't have it out of the box, probably you can convert it. And
definitely. So if it's a Maya node, you can ask us, and we'll probably do it. But if it's an internal plugin of Studio, for example, the internal gear plugins, you can convert them thanks to the SDK. So a good entry point to do that is the mgear source code, because it's open source, it's on GitHub. And you can see, for example, very simple stuff like mul matrix, basic. It's just that of code. It's very simple.
So it's a very you can get the
it's very
mgear source code and get the Rumba mgear solver source code side by side. Check it a few things, and probably you will be able to create or to port your nodes, because it's sometimes it's very explanatory just watching the side-by-side examples, and these nodes are super simple.
It's very so if you can do that, and if you have geometry, it's not so complex. So for example, you deform a list of vertices using an array of matrices, and so here I simply get my geometry here, my array here, and I duplicate my geometry to get mutable results. And then you just simply read the world matrix, the geom matrix, which can be, and then you simply write that. And if you are experimented, you use TBB to parallelize this for loop, if you like. If you have a lot of processing here, you can that's where you can parallelize this for loop using TBB, and that's all. You get a very nice parallelized node. Same, the registering is very as simple as possible.
I like a lot the way that you have your method like this as a matrix 4x4 in float and things like that, and you read it and you know what kind of matrix you get in. It's very
and this library is actually the ILM EMAT library. It's not it's a very common mathematical library in C++.
I was thinking it is from
It's provided,
Rumba.
this one, IMAS, it's provided with the Rumba SDK. It's an open source mathematics library by ILM.
Nice.
Yeah, and so once once you know your rig is compatible, or it should work, it should mostly work. Let's see what we can do in Maya.
And by the way, there is I found like was 2 days ago this blog post that you did on using the Spider-Man from 0watt. That's amazing, all the detail. I think I didn't make it yet, but I will have to take one of our production rigs and go put it side by side, step by step, and follow that to add all.
Yes, it's a Liz. She's working at Mercenaries, and she did that. She did all the blog, she did all the conversion, and
I will add the link also on the video description.
Yeah. So speaking about spiders, let's try to do something with it.
Yeah, I hope I will not get like banned by the how it's called, the copyright on YouTube.
Ah, okay.
I think
so
should be, I think should be okay.
I can take.
No worries.
No. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine.
Yeah. Well, otherwise you make a new edit of the.
I'm gonna blur it, everything pixelate. Yeah, it happened in one podcast.
Really?
Yeah. But we was using like footage directly from a demo reel.
Ah, yeah.
So.
No. Yeah,
it's not the same.
We're probably far from the footage. Yeah. So the first constraint, there is not a lot of constraints. We try to use your rig as it is as much as possible, but we ask you to put at least everything in one single group, because in Rumba, when we reference something, we reference one node. So we need everything to be in a single node. And in this case, I will call it Spider. It will be the name of the asset by default. And so the first thing you want to do is simply press this button and check it in Rumba. So here it will export the rig, reference it in Rumba, and we try to see if it behaves like in Maya. That's the first step. So we don't have nothing to do. Okay. So, the export process can be a bit slow. It depends on the rig. Okay, here it is.
Yeah. And you know what did this rig, and probably it's the promotion. I mean, it's been used for many animators to do many things. And I think it's the best promotion we ever had for MGear. It's this rig, honestly. Even the I don't remember his name, but the actual director of one of the directors of Spider-Verse retweeted the rig. Yeah, it was like, hey guys.
You see, they are not upset. Don't worry.
It was really cool.
Okay, so now you can review your rig and be sure everything is working. Okay. So the first step is that it's not complex, and so now you probably want to put the grip, okay, on that's what you want to do. So the first thing you have to do is the simplest thing to do is to directly ask mTorba to create the whole set of manipulators for you. So you just do that, default Rumba manipulators. It will add a group in your rig with all the default manipulators, all the naming convention of the manipulators in Rumba. It's not a big deal if you don't use this naming convention. You can use your own. The thing is, we are coming up with a picker editor, and if you want all those features to work directly with no configuration, you will have to use this naming convention. But if you don't want, it's not a big deal. You can use your own convention.
Interesting. Just a little plug here. Next MGear version will come with a naming template system, so you will be allowed to change the names of the controls and joints, like with a template. So I will check this, and let's see if I can create a template or something that give you the names of the controls straight of this. Maybe we need some edition, but probably for sure it's doable. Or
if you are interested about discussing, maybe after this podcast, about the naming convention and how many controllers we have and which kind of controller we have. We tried with this first one. It's the first proposal. Of course, there is not all kind of controllers you can have on a rig. There is not the wings of a dragon or stuff like that. But it's a first nice proposal with a full facial, full. And once again, you can create your own. It's not a big deal. So the first thing you want to do is to connect your controllers with the manipulator. So let's say I will connect my head with my head controllers. So I select both. It's very simple. I just press that to link manipulators. So what it's going to do is it will simply put an attribute on this manipulator here with the name of the controller. That's all. And here you will have option to specify if you want a specific default behavior in transformation. For example, you want the root of the wall controller to slide on the ground. That's where you will specialize the behavior of this manipulator. Because here we are talking about manipulators. Okay? And you will find the complete arm, which is here. Okay, the arm with sub manipulators for upper arm, elbow, and forearm. Okay. So that's where you will configure your arm, which is probably the most difficult part, but you have to do it once. And once you did that, you simply paint those 4 subcontrollers on your rig, and those 4 subcontrollers will act in FK or IK. That's the cool thing. So let's say I want to paint my head. So it's very simple. I will simply go there. I select spider. I use paint manipulator. I choose my manipulator head. Okay. I do that like that.
Can you do it based on selection? Can you select from the polygons, or needs to go always on the paint?
Yeah, you can probably make it your own. You simply have to use this color.
Okay, so it's just a color. So
just a color, yeah, on face. As long as you finish with that, it works.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, probably we could probably share the source code to compute the color or stuff like that. Yeah, but that's the idea, okay? And so now you just re-export. And of course you should get this thing working. And so basically, yeah, it's super simple. And once you did that, you simply keep the controllers you want to see visible, and the one you have painted, you can hide them. And if you get an update of rig, or you have different version of the same character with different outfits, and you don't want to paint all that, of course. So there is on the shelf there is a transfer tool to transfer the painting also.
It's a vertex color, I guess.
Yeah.
I see. Boom.
Okay.
It's very straightforward, super simple.
Yeah. Basically, that's the same. So you get the transfer tool to transfer on a new geometry. So you select both geometry, and by proximity, it will project the painting, and you get that. You just have to paint half of the rig. It will paint the other half, including the translation of R to L or L to R. It's not obvious because, of course, yeah, we are talking about hashing of strings. So yeah, you get this mirroring of the painting, which is not obvious to do. It's not just mirroring the colors. It's computing the new color. Okay. And, so basically it's not so.
No, it's super straightforward. I guess it's you need to invest a little time to make everything nice and think. I mean, the most difficult part probably for me will be to choose where I paint, what I paint, and try to find out the best, let's say, position of or selection of polygons to define what you want to describe as a manipulator. Like if I click here, it will move the eyelid or it will move the eyebrow, things like that. Especially if you, depending of the character, maybe it gets tricky because if it's low poly, for instance, very low poly, maybe you don't have things. But yeah, it's, I mean, the process itself, it looks pretty straightforward and simple.
So if you press that button, you can learn at the beginning where are the different grip. And as you said, you find your style of painting controllers, but then it's very cool.
And just know that the like you have the text under the window that when you overlay or you hover in one of the places, it's gonna tell you which controller and which default manipulation you have. In this case, translate. So you always can quickly make a glance there if you're not sure. And of course, you can always show your controls.
Yeah. You have all the information on the button, and and a lot of people asking us to make level of detail of this vertex color. So we'll do that. We'll propose you to paint different map, but not the whole map. You will paint the first detail like heads, brows, jaw, okay, with large region, and then you will paint a new map, but just with the details you want on the top, like detail of the brows, first detail of the mouth, and then second detail of the lips. And, we'll do that in the next version. So you will have not to paint everything 2 or 3 times. You will paint the whole body with the large stuff, and then you will just add on layers of painting the details, first detail, second detail.
But
because it's when we want the full control of the mouse, for example, not on this. I got this model, but with a second layer of controllers with a lot of controllers on the mouse. And if you can paint that, but it gets very messy. And most of the time, you don't want to see them. At the same time, most of the time you hide the controllers. You want to hide the grips. So we'll have this feature to.
So to have like surround different resolutions, let's say, of the detail of this map. So
that's the idea. So it's not done, but that's what we like to do in the next version, is to give you the possibility to have different details of this map. But you just paint the details. You don't have to paint everything twice. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's really great. Yeah, and the way that, I mean, these, for instance, I'm like my pure Maya head on. I'm some of the workflows or that I ambition to implement. Basically, you making like obsolete or not needed with this workflow. Like I was thinking to do something. Okay, like I have this idea to do that, and then you showing me this, and I say, actually, what my idea works there, but it's not. I mean, it doesn't make sense here. It's not needed at all. What I want to do in one place.
Yeah, because one problem you have to deal when you rig in Maya is you have to control everything with transform. So you have to think about how with the transform I will control my behavior. Okay. So for example, for the how do you call that, the bullet stuff?
The tweakers or the lip
tweakers, with the small spheres you stick on the lip. You have to think. So the controller has to stick. Okay. If you paint it, they don't have to stick. You just paint them. Okay. It's in this.
You mean like the rivets or things like that people.
Rivets or if for example, if you have detail controllers to control the mouse, okay, you have to use a rivet or something to be sure the controller will be at the correct place when the mouse will be deformed by other things, by the jaw, by other controller layers. So it's a difficulty in itself. Once you paint you paint the relationship between your controller and the surface, you don't need that anymore, for example.
And it's taxing to the rig performance also to have this kind of feedback to the animator. It's because you can have the same control, but if you want to move it that follows the position, you need to do some layers to find a way to translate one while the other. So you normally what you do is end up like layering a few layers of the same mesh to handle or to support that, and that is probably one of the most expensive things that you have to do on your facial rigs because you can there's a lot of constraint where you need to rely on topology to move another control that move another topology, because I will change like from transform to deformation to transform to
it breaks the parallelism, because I think Maya does not like to check the geometry of parallel.
It doesn't break the parallelism at all. I mean, in all the rig, but of course, where you have that, it bottlenecks there. So it can be parallelize the rest and have this bottleneck in there, but
it's not so.
Maybe depends the scene. You don't. I mean, other thing will be scheduled, and you still having a good performance. But maybe if I don't know, if you have one rig, for instance, maybe you lose threads there, and maybe you have two rigs, maybe it will cover the other one, things like that. So it always depends. But for sure, it's not the best way to do. And if you use GPU overrides, now I think there is some kind of support, but in the latest version, but still like very. It makes things. I mean, I think you need to know where are all the limitations and where are the advantages, and you need to navigate that. And I have to say, like I mean, Maya, it's a really, I think it's a great piece of software, and it has many good things. And also, like you say, like there is a lot of legacy that they support, and things that, for instance, with Rumba, you had. I mean, it's new. It's so you don't have this legacy to support, and you can do amazing things that it's not possible with Maya, because simple like the history. I mean, as a developer, you might know how hard is it to.
It's always too easier to start after and with a fresh design, because you know now you know what you want to do directly. You do that the simplest way possible, and it's always easier to redo the things after. But just one thing I like to emphasize is so what we do basically here, we just make a relationship between some part of the surface and a controller, and so this relationship can be anything. You can create a plane shape, put a sphere, and move the sphere when you press the plane shape. And this relationship is very straightforward. There is even no connection. It's just a color, which makes a relationship between the plane and the manipulators, which knows how and what it has to manipulate.
Yeah, honestly, it's for me. It's I didn't know that when we. I mean, we've been talking for long on Rumba, and I have been have the opportunity to play with Rumba since a few months already, but I didn't know that. And this, I mean, from a point of view of a rigger, to have this power on your hands and easy to implement, it opens a lot of doors, like a lot, because basically you can do whatever you want on how this separation between manipulation and behavioral and this in between layer that you said that it's for us the riggers to be I will say like to have free imagination to create new ways to do it. So it's I think it's I mean, I was impressed for the animation capabilities, the performance, and the clean and easy that is to animate with Rumba. But with only this point that you explained with the slides, and it's for me, it's I don't know how to say, but it's like a big wall of the conversation. Like, yeah, like I need
no,
to.
No problem. But I'm glad if you think that it's useful. We'll see how it goes with the future. But I think that's just new concept. You don't have to use them, but they are there, and maybe there is something interesting things to do with them.
Yeah,
so we'll try to do the same with rigging, the whole rigging process in general in a later version. So probably next year. We are working on it for months now. If you like, I can give you a few.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please.
Concepts,
I mean, if you have time, we can be here all night long and geeking around. Yeah, but yeah, the Manipulator, man, probably I'm gonna come back to Manipulator because I want to ask you something. No, I just want to ask maybe a bit a little thing about the Manipulator, but let's go later. Go back to that one.
Okay, but so maybe if you like, I can give you the what we like to do in the rigging field.
Yeah.
So as I said before, the goal here is not to give a rig or to explain people how to rig. That's not the philosophy of this project. We like simply to create a new rigging framework where people will express their rig or their rig. They will create their own rig in a new framework, and most of the things you did before in Maya will be possible because you are all the nodes are present. So if there is a node you like in Maya, you have it, you can use it. But we like to do something different. What we like to do is to get rid of this concept of building a rig using Python script to create a new character. So tell me if I'm wrong, but if I summarize the state of the rigging in Maya, at least today, if you are a studio, you are a rigger in a studio, you want to be efficient in your job, you will probably invest time in technology, in a software project called an auto rig. So it's a lot of Python to generate efficiently rigs on many characters, because you have many characters to rig. You do always the same operation, and so you build them using script. So when you build them, it means it's not live. It's not a network. You have you just plug and it works. You have to craft this network because of some restriction in Maya. This network is different for each character. For example, you will have one skin cluster per geometry. You will have different number of joints. If you have a ponytail, you have more joints. Maybe you have a third arm, so famous 3-arm characters. So that's in my opinion why we need an auto rig in Maya to generate a lot of rigs quickly. Is because we can't create a single network which match all the character we want to rig. And what we like to offer is a way to create at least one goal we want to achieve is, if you have two characters with the same controllers, so the same rigs, okay, whatever the characters are, you should have the same network. So you should not build it. It should be live all the time.
I think
that's one goal we want.
I think what you mean is like the underlying structure and behavioral thing that move or to create this can be like one thing, and you instance that structure for different characters, kind of. So you don't need to rebuild. So if you have two characters, the rig entity will be not two rig entities with, like, let's say the nodes that connect between them, they're different
So,
nodes, it's gonna be something that it's one rig entity that several characters can use and edit like that.
At least, at least. So if you have two characters with the same controllers at the end, the same rig. The project should be a node which is referenced with your rig inside. Okay, so it's a network, a large network, composed with reference of arm modules, on spine modules, leg modules, of course, and they are reference of nodes, and at the end you get your rig in a single node. So that's what we do. We have prototypes of that, and you should have only to parameterize this rig with the parameter. The real parameter of your rig, which are the position of the joint, the skin weight, at least half of the position of the joint. You don't need the other side if it's a symmetrical character. The skin weights and the weights for the different deformer you have. Maybe the list of the objects you have to stick on geometry, like buttons or stuff like that. You should give the very simple input of parameters. One network which is always the same, and it should work like that. That's what we want to achieve.
Yeah, I see. That's really nice. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, now with Maya, the way that we work, it's slightly different. It's not that we have this. We have the builder, and we rebuild every single time, and we have the workflows that we have. It's more based what I call like the data-centric thing. So we get all this data, and but we rebuild. Basically, we cook the assets each time or compile. I like to put like a software parallelism where you have all your modules and all your libraries that you every time you need to change something, you just compile your software and make a release. So the rig is right now is the same concept. So we need to even to change a little thing, we need to recompile.
Yeah, so but there are many issues with that. Is first, so your project Gear is very good because you can share this project with many people. So a lot of people can benefit of this auto rig, which is quite complex to set up without this knowledge to do all that. But in most studios, they have to manage a very complex auto rig. And so I don't say we can completely get rid of Python script. You probably need productivity tools to do stuff, but at least we'll provide a new framework which allows you to work like that, to express things like that, and then you can build stuff the way you want with it. But you can express a rig which deform whatever number of objects, with whatever number of joints, with whatever number of objects to stick, stuff like that, with the same rig nodal, and it's live, it's always live, and the parameter of this rig are the minimal parameters, and they are all live. There is nothing is baked. That's the goal is that. So of course there will be exceptions, I know, but that's the first.
Yeah, edge cases.
The main
always.
Goal is the big picture of what we like to do.
But definitely it's gonna be. I mean, I think the next years it's gonna be probably the most interesting years for all the riggers out there, because there's a lot of technology coming, and you're like Rumba with the proposal it for the rigging. I think it's gonna be. I mean, I definitely am very interested to learn it and to try and use it. And there is a lot of interesting things coming. As also like Raf with his idea of the ephemeral, I think is really cool. And there is Unreal.
I still hope to see some ephemeral rigs in Rumba.
You talk with Raf. I mean, you should bring Raf to Rumba, because I think there is a lot. I mean, the way that you handle animation and the way that you works, I think it will be a really good match for his concept of how to do the rigs and animation, because I think it's same. Like,
yeah, I thought about that many times. For me, to try to do the ephemeral rig in Rumba, it's a question of having, so you can have a full FK or a full free deformation rig with no hierarchy at all, and you make just a collection of manipulators to manipulate it. It's straightforward to do.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to come back. It's like, that's the manipulators thing that you have there. But I'm talking like the rough concept itself. It's not the rig itself, but it's how he animates. I think it's together. It's not like here's the rig and you can do. No, it's the concept. And I think Rumba, with the tools that you have already in place, like the Leon Skinny with the timeline and these things, it's a perfect match, I think. Because
but I'm sure we'll discuss.
I'm trying to make it here like a Celestina.
But I read his blog, and it's definitely a lot of good thoughts.
It's amazing animator. It's a great artist. Okay, so I think we had all the rounds here. I don't know if I know your family should be arriving soon, so maybe. They seem quite. So, but thank you so much. I think it was.
Thank you, Miguel.
I learned a lot talking with you today, and it's very exciting I hope we can use it in production in the future or very soon. And thanks again for your time and everything. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Enjoyable. Thank you.
Bye-bye.